Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I'm going to share with you tonight a recipe that we're going to actually have for our supper. It's creamy chicken chorizo pasta, and I've already got my rotini cooking. I've used 12 ounces of that. That's cooking right now. When it's done, I'm going to drain it, but you want to make sure that you reserve some of that pasta water because you may need it. You may not, but you may need it to kind of thin out your sauce a little bit. But before I do any more of that, I need to make the seasoning blender, the seasoning that's going to go over my chicken. So in my bowl, I already have 1 tablespoon of garlic herb seasoning. And if you don't have any of your own, it's kind of a combination of rosemary and cumin and just some different spices. You can look it up or you can buy an already made one. So anyway, that's already in my dish. Then to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sweet paprika. That's a lot of paprika. I need 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder. Oh, my pan's about to boil over. And I need some thyme. I have about a half a teaspoon of thyme, and then some salt and pepper, and that's pretty much to taste. So I'm gonna mix these together, and then I'm gonna use half of it on my chicken, but I'm gonna reserve half of it later for when I cook the chorizo. So make sure it's well blended. Okay. So now in my frying pan, I wanna heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And this is what we're going to sear our chicken in. So I have about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast. Depends on the chicken breasts that you buy, but I've used 3 chicken breasts, and I've pounded those thin, and I'm going to take about half of my seasoning, and I'm going to season both sides of that chicken really well while my oil is heating. Our oil is hot, and I've seasoned all of my chicken on both sides. So now I'm going to go ahead and sear all the pieces of chicken. And once they're done searing on both sides, I'm going to place a lid on my pan, drop the heat just a little bit to about a medium, and then I'm gonna let that cook on medium to medium low for about another 10 to 12 minutes, just so that chicken is done all the way through. So as you can see, you're gonna need a pretty good sized pan to cook this chicken in. I'll get those 2 going, sear those, and then I'll sear the other one. Our chicken and our pasta are both done cooking, so at this point, I want to remove the chicken from the pan and set it aside. And in my skillet then, I'm gonna turn the heat back up. I've placed 9 ounces of chorizo, and I wanna break that up and cook it. And I'm going to add about 4 tablespoons of butter to this. And just let that continue to cook until that chorizo is all cooked all the way through. I love chorizo. My husband is one of those, he tolerates it when we go out to eat. He would just soon not have it sometimes, but we share a lot of times, so when we share, he's really, really good to get the things he knows I like, so he's a good guy. Again, I'm gonna let that cook for just a little bit until that chorizo's all cooked. And this is going to be the base for your sauce too. And you can either use I like the ground chorizo better, but you can use the links if you would rather. If you use the links, it will take 2 or 3 of those. But like I said, I use the ground chorizo, the beef chorizo, and I have 9 ounces in my pan. So I'm just gonna let that cook a few more minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my seasoning in at this point. Smells wonderful. Cooking up nicely. Now, as soon as I think that's to the point where the chorizo is well done, and it doesn't take it very long, I'm going to go ahead and add my flour. So I'm going to make a roux for my sauce. So I have 2 tablespoons of flour that I'm going to put in as a thickener. So I'm going to stir that in and let that cook for just a minute or two. And you can see it's already starting to thicken it up. So I can drop my heat a little bit. You don't want it to burn. That's great. It almost looks like a chili sauce when you're to the point that you need to be if you're using the ground chorizo. Okay, to that I want to add a 1/2 cup of chicken broth. And then I have 3 cups of heavy cream that I want to add in. I'm going to do a little bit of it and then go ahead with the rest of it. So I have my heat about a medium. Chorizo slopped. Add the rest of my heavy cream. I have a daughter-in-law who loves fall. She is so ready for fall, but then they're ready for Christmas to roll right into, because her husband, my son, loves Christmas, and I like Christmas too. Maybe that's where he got it from, but he would have his Christmas tree up all year round. Okay, so I'm just waiting for that sauce to cook up just a little bit more. And then I'm going to add my cheeses to it. So I'm going to put in about 6 ounces of shredded Parmesan and the same amount of shredded mozzarella. This is one of those rare nights we get to stay at home and don't have to rush out. I always thought I would be less busy when my grandkids came, but those of you who are grandparents probably know you get actually maybe more busy. We were always on the go with my sons, but now it seems like it's most nights, and if one doesn't have a game, 2 of them have them at different times on the same night, or sometimes even conflicting. Okay, so I'm going to put in my Parmesan. And I have a little bit of mozzarella I need to use up first. And then I will use the other if I need it. I don't think I'm going to though. So I want those to cook and melt down. And then I'll be ready to add my pasta back in. Well, actually, I'm going to add some spinach to this first. But then I can add my pasta back in. And then again, If you need to, I'm going to add my spinach first and then my pasta. If you need to, if it gets too thick because of those cheeses and that thickener, you can always take some of that pasta water and add it. And no more than a quarter to a half a cup, but I would do it by tablespoons full, just in case. I wouldn't want to overdo it because you want a thicker sauce, just not so thick that it doesn't work for you. Okay, my cheese is pretty melted. I'm gonna go ahead and add my spinach. And I have 2 cups of spinach that I diced up or cut up pretty fine. And it's fresh spinach. And this is one of those things, it adds color, but it also adds nutrients to it. But if you can't tolerate spinach, I haven't tried this recipe with broccoli, but you probably could do broccoli as long as you cut it up small enough. Make sure that's coated. And I like it in smaller pieces so you don't get big chunks of it while you're eating. Then I can add my pasta back in. And the very last thing, you can do one of 2 things. You can either add your chicken, I'm gonna slice it up first, but you could add your chicken in with the pasta, or you can serve it on top of the pasta, whichever you prefer. And I like a thicker sauce, so I don't think I'm gonna use any of my water, my pasta water, to thin this down. But that is a call that you have to make, whether you like your sauces thicker or a little bit thinner. Okay, to slice my chicken, I had more butter than I needed. I have a fork somewhere right here. There it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and slice this up, and then I can either add it to it, or I can put it on while we're serving. So it's your call. But that's all there is to our creamy chicken chorizo pasta. Turn that off. Looks wonderful. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.